You're listening to the Yin and Yang Show, a marketing and sales conversation with Lindsay Kelly and Brian Signorelli. Strategic and tactical advice about inbound sales and marketing.
Hi, welcome back to the Yin and Yang Show. Thanks for joining us again this week. We appreciate when you guys listen to us, and we especially appreciate all of the feedback that we've been getting, LinkedIn and places like that. So thanks, guys. I'm Lindsay from Prospect Builder, joined as always by my co-host Brian Signorelli from HubSpot. What's up?
Good morning, Lindsay.
How you doing today?
I'm great. I'm a little bit sad because I know this is our last how-to in the summer series, but and I was noticing too last night the sun here was setting around 7:15, and I'm thinking, oh man, summer really is coming to a conclusion here, unfortunately, at least for those of us in the Northeast who only get our 3, maybe 4 months of summer type weather.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it stays dark down here in South Florida a lot longer than it does up there. Like it'll still be light at like 8:20, pretty light, and it'll stay pretty light until goodness, almost 9 in the summer. But anyway, we digress. And hey, are you making big plans for the solar eclipse on Monday?
I have actually blocked off. I blocked off my entire afternoon, and it just says busy on my calendar. Like I'm not sure if people are going to be that into it at work and whatnot. But I feel
like, why is it so dark outside? What's going on today?
I know I'm really into it. I mean, I'm not going to be in the I think it's called the path of totality. I'm not going to be in that path, but I'm hoping that I can get a taste of it, or see part of it, I guess, from Boston. So
yeah, well, we're about 83%. So we're not in the total eclipse area either, but we're just outside of it. So we'll get an 83, I believe I saw 83% eclipse. So that'll be fun. So I'm actually picking Eleanor up, my daughter, early because they sent something home from school that said either you have to keep them, like we have to keep them later, or you can come get them before noon. So I thought that was very good of the school, because literally like when the children are getting picked up is when the eclipse is going to be happening. So it's way too tempting to look up and the damage to their little tiny human eyes.
I'll have those, let's say I'll have those shades on basically, that, it can be risky for sure.
Yeah. So, well, we're making a contraption. So we'll see if it works. I'll let you know next week. But anyway, so I feel like we saved I don't say one of the best for last, but one of the most painful how-tos for last. And this is something that inside of the office technology dealer world that I live in is a very large pain point for internal folks who are looking to make that inbound leap and get their C-level folks to say, yeah, we need to look at this. We need to do something because the buyers have changed so much. We need to look at inbound. And so today we're going to talk about how to get buy-in for inbound sales and marketing, because that really is a big pain point for us. And I'm sure that you, being with HubSpot for so long, have lots of tales of woe from marketers that you've talked to that you think you're so close and they're like, but they just won't pull the trigger.
Yep. It's, I've got basically every objection in the book. And, I'm happy to share some of those stories along the way.
Yes, please interject. So my pain point came from around 2010. I found out about HubSpot and I started following them. I was working as the marketing person inside of a copier dealer association, the CDA dealership that I was at for almost 4 years. And I tried very hard to bring HubSpot in, and I didn't know how to sell it to the dealer's dealer principal. And I failed, and I didn't get it. I was very sad, and I obviously kept following you. And the minute I left that dealership and started my own agency, I became a HubSpot partner with you. So literally like the same month. So here are the top tips for my marketing friends and sales friends inside of dealerships who want to get inbound in their company, whether that's using HubSpot or another marketing automation platform. But tip number 1, we're going to talk about the competitors. So SIG, right now we've got a lot of people in our industry who are extremely interested in HubSpot. They understand the lead generation power. It's hard to pull the trigger because it's so different. So there are enough folks using it now that you can actually start talking about your competitors. So use a tool like Ghostery. It's a tiny little plugin for like Chrome. And every time you go to a website, you can click on this little ghost guy and he shows you all the things that that website has installed on it for tracking purposes. So you can see HubSpot being on there as a tool that's being used because there's embed code on that website that says this is HubSpot. So you can see it too with like Facebook and other like advertising platforms that you install. Click something or other was another one I see a lot. But you'll see HubSpot or Marketo or one of those things. So use that and be like, hey, look, our competitor is already on this. They're already using this. And HubSpot has tools inside of it that allow them to take and pull information about what we're tracking with our keywords and what we're ranking for. So, and we don't have that insight. So they know what we're doing digitally. We have no idea what they're doing except for what we see on the surface. So you can talk about the competitors and use something like Ghostery.
Yep. The other one I'd recommend too that I actually switched over. I used Ghostery for a while, and I don't know, for whatever reason, like I just switched off of Ghostery and I started using another tool called BuiltWith.
Oh yeah.
BuiltWith. For some reason, like just the visual, there's a browser plugin for it as well. But you can also go to an actual website page and type in whichever website you want. And this is a free tool. They do have a paid version as well. But the free tool, there's something about just the way that it kind of lays out all the technology because it organizes by like web hosting, by marketing automation, by
it's CMS too. It shows you what it's built on, whether it's WordPress or Drupal or the HubSpot COS.
Exactly. So you can get a pretty quick visual understanding of all the tools that are in there. And the thing that I like too about BuiltWith is it kind of gives you a little description about like what each of the tools actually is and does, just in case you're not as familiar with the entire marketing technology landscape. And frankly, I don't think anybody is, because I think we're up over 5, 6, or 7,000 different software solutions at this point, and another almost 1,000 in the inside sales technology landscape now. So I don't expect anybody to be well versed in anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 different technologies. So it can be helpful, obviously, to have that little description right in front of you. Yes,
definitely. No, that's a good one. I like that one too. Another tip would be do a free trial of HubSpot. I would recommend going through, there's a couple partners inside of our channel that actually are HubSpot partners. My company, Prospect Builder, is one. CEO Juice, good friends of ours, that's another one. Reach out to one of us and ask to get the free trial. It's better to work through one of us as a partner to work with HubSpot than it is to go to HubSpot directly. There's a whole slew of reasons why, but that's another podcast.
Yeah.
So get that, because all you have to do is say, look, I want a free trial of HubSpot, and we get it set up for you. And then once you have that tracking code from HubSpot placed on your website, and your IT team should be able to do that for you, or whoever is running your website for you, you'll be able to start capturing the intelligence of what the traffic is, where people are going, what the pages are. You can put your keywords in, see how you're ranking for them. And all you have to do is get a couple of folks to fill out a form of some sort on the website that's tracked through HubSpot, like one of the HubSpot forms. So you could easily replace your contact us form on your website with a HubSpot form for that trial period, and capture that information. And once somebody clicks the submit button on that form, HubSpot's now able to marry the email address and the IP address, and anything that person has looked at on your website since they've been with that company and that it matches that IP address, HubSpot holds onto that IP address until it has something to marry to. Now you can see all of the things that person is doing. If you're sending emails, you can see if they've opened them, clicked them. You can also go in and see all of the pages that they've looked at. And what this does for a sales VP who's sitting there going, wow, instead of just calling somebody back who has sent in a contact us form because they want more information about a copier or document management or managed IT, I now know all the pages that they've gone to. I know all of the blogs that they've read. I have so much more lead intelligence now for my sales rep to be able to have a conversation with them and drive them through to the same interests that they expressed online. It's really powerful. This is like, it's creepy. I always call it's creepy, but it's true. It's easier to see what somebody's looking at and get a general idea for the services that they're interested in.
Yep.
So
I think it's an important point. I think it's a great one too. I mean, especially with getting some of that lead intelligence done, especially because there was some research done that basically demonstrated or surveyed kind of a broad swath of buyers. I think it was a few thousand buyers, and basically the consensus from buyers is that I think 60 or 65% of the time, by the time they actually do speak to a sales rep, they feel like they are more prepared, more well versed than the sales rep actually is, and that's a problem, because that just kind of leads to a really low quality conversation right out of the gate. But if you have some of that intelligence, whether you get it through HubSpot or get it somewhere else, and are able to understand the contextual history of the ways in which someone has actually interacted with your business, the types of research that they've done, at least on your website, for example, that can make a really big difference in the quality of that conversation, especially if you know the types of blog posts they may have read, or maybe product pages or products that they've looked at, or services they've looked at, whether or not they've actually looked at something like your pricing page, if you have a pricing page, or even just, kind of about the company or executive leadership, or all those different types of things that might be on your site. That'll allow you to contextualize the conversation and kind of narrow in on what is most likely an area of interest, hopefully, for that buyer, as opposed to, you opening up a conversation and saying something really generic like, hey, like, just thought we'd have a conversation about, I don't know, what are you interested in talking about?
I want to talk to you about your copying needs.
Right, exactly. That's not helpful. But if you can drill into a subtopic and kind of meet the buyer where they already are, which is the idea with inbound sales, that's going to lead to a far more productive conversation from day one, frankly.
Exactly. So great points. Now, the other thing that you should do in order to get some buy-in is talk to some of your peers in the CDA, in BTA, BPCA. All of these acronyms are well known to my audience, but these are all the industry organizations that are peer groups and such for the copier dealers of the world, who are now doing document management and managed IT as well. But talk to them. Talk to them. So many of them are now doing it. They can give amazing insight into what they're doing, the challenges that they've come up against. I mean, it's hard work, but you have to start changing your behavior as a company to sell, because that's how the buyer has evolved. They don't want to be sold to anymore. They don't want, and these folks have seen it. They've been through it with us, with other folks. There are other marketing agencies out there who bigger dealerships are working with. Talk to them. If you need to know who they are, email me. It's lkelly with an EY at prospectbuilder.net. Email me and say, who are these big guys that are using these agencies? Who do you work with? Who can I talk to? Because I want to figure out, like, straight from the horse's mouth. So it's all, like, HubSpot is all the buzz in our industry right now. People are buying it, but they're not sure what to do with it. And sometimes there are marketing folks that are sitting there and sales folks that are like, these guys have HubSpot. I'm so jealous. How do I get it too? So These are all the things you have to start thinking about in order to get them there.
Yep.
But then I think one of the biggest things that you can do is to do an inbound marketing workshop. And basically what this was inbound marketing and sales. It was inbound marketing when I first started, and then you guys all threw the sales things in, and I was like, whole new slew of things to learn.
One function's not enough.
Nope, it's not. Well, HubSpot's a sales tool. It's just, marketing is the fuel you put into it. Mm-hmm. So the inbound marketing workshop explains the why. And if you're going to ask sales reps to perform different functions within their traditional job role, and you're going to ask them to sell differently, you have to explain to them what you're doing. You have to explain that, 70% of the buying journey is complete before these guys talk to you. Instead of trying to start from scratch when they've already got all this knowledge in your head, let's make sure you guys understand what the marketing team is doing in order to build up a parallel tool and suite of content and blogs and things that matches the sales process. So that's why sales and marketing have to work together, because marketing's not out there, sales is. And the other reason for the inbound marketing workshop is it helps the C-level. We call it the light bulb moment. And we literally just did one last week, and the owner was like, I never thought of it this way. But you're absolutely right. Like, this is how this works, and this is how I do it. And, we're still trying to sell the way we sold 10 years ago. We have to change. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of that light bulb moment of, what worked in the past isn't working anymore. So mm-hmm. It educates you as to what inbound is. It educates the sales team. We do the whole company. When we first go in, because there are so many people that we need help with systems. I mean, the engineers, the service techs, even in accounting. Like I said before, one of our most popular blog posts from one of our clients is how to read an invoice. It's delight. You're delighting people. And if somebody's trying to figure out how to read their invoice from a competitor and you've got all this great information on how to do it, who's going to earn the trust? So right. The inbound workshop really does kind of help open the eyes of everybody there. And it kind of makes the case for inbound. So it makes it easier for, that salesperson or that marketing person who wants this to get that message through to the C-level team.
Sure.
So that's the hard part. And then, one last tip. This one's always fun. HubSpot has 2 graders that we'll use sometimes. There's the HubSpot marketing grader and the HubSpot website grader. And the website grader kind of looks at the checks and balances for what your website should really have. Like, is it well optimized from a speed perspective? How's the security? How's the SEO? Like checks and balances for all of this. And then the marketing grader actually says, do you have the right kind of elements on your website to have a path for your buyer to follow? And it'll grade you on a scale of, 0 to 100. And all of our clients are in the high 90s. But when we first started with them, most of them were in the 60s.
Yep.
And I don't know, do you see an average for what folks usually grade when they first come to you?
I don't know if, we collect so much data. I think we've graded something like 2 or 3 million websites, but I'm not sure that we actually publish any benchmarking data, which I'd love to see us do at some point. I can tell you anecdotally as a rep, usually I would see, I feel like most websites I saw would be anywhere from like a 50 to a 70 for the most part, in terms of just like, basically what the website, this is what website grader is a bit different. The marketing grader was kind of the original tool. And, that's really assessing how visible are you online. And the reality is most businesses are just not that visible, and they're really hurting themselves. And, it's basically, I don't know, in my opinion, it's kind of the equivalent of like, look, you've spent all this money on building a website. You spent all this money maintaining a website. You've probably spent, depending on how many years, how fancy it is, all these different things, you've probably spent tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over that time period to do something relative to your website. But if you're not actually getting a return from that, if you're not generating visibility for your own business and you're not generating leads that are then being fed to a sales team, it's the equivalent of basically hiring a sales rep for like $200,000 a year. And then that sales rep goes on to literally sell nothing, yet you continue paying that person over time. No one in their right mind would do that. But for some reason, businesses often do that with their website. I personally think that a website is actually, it's really potentially it's your customer support, it's your customer service, it's your sales rep. It's basically your employees that, guess what? Like, they work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if they're actually if it's not doing its job, then why even have a website in the first place?
Exactly.
Not enough just to say, oh, we have an online presence. We exist. No one cares about that. And frankly, if you're not doing enough to drive that visibility, if your website is showing up for the kind of keywords and phrases, or never mind even the keywords and phrases, how about just your own company name? I can't tell you how many businesses I actually search in Google. I searched their exact company name, and I'm not including like the LLC and the incorporated and all that stuff, like just the company name. And I can't tell you how many times I search a company name And the company itself does not even show up on the first page of the search results. That is insane to me.
Yep. And I mean, that's an excellent point. We always say your website is your 24/7 sales rep. Because think about the last time you needed to buy something, Mr. President of this copier dealership. Did you just pick up the phone and start calling people? Did you sit down and wait for people to call you? No, you started doing research. If you ask a peer, that's fine. Don't tell me you didn't go and follow up with some research online to validate what that person said. Remember, if it's online, it must be true. So think about how you do it in your own daily life, because we're still at the end of the day human to human. Forget B2B and B2C, man. It's B to H, business to human. Come on. Yep. So make it a good experience online for these people. So great points. So that was what I had. Did you have anything to add to it?
So let's see. We covered, figure out what your competitors are doing, run a trial of HubSpot, do an inbound marketing and sales workshop, and then also use the grader just to kind of understand where you're starting.